Los Angeles County, who are in the face of a horrific extreme weather event with their lives, property, homes, and families being threatened in a very horrific manner. We are thankful for the service and sacrifice of the firefighters and first responders who are racing toward danger to save the lives of others. It's exactly why we must continue to support our first responders, our public employees, and our government agencies that need to be there in times of need for everyday Americans. House Democrats are prepared to provide any support necessary to this administration, to the state government in California, and to the people of Los Angeles County as they navigate through these tragic fires. Questions?
Thank you. Good morning. There were 48 Democrats who voted for the Lake and Riley Act yesterday. Is there a divide in the party? More Democrats voted for this than last time, but number two, were Democrats a little bit asleep at the switch, not dealing with immigration, and does this reflect that maybe they've gotten religion as we go forward?
House Democrats look forward to working with the incoming administration and our Republican colleagues on securing the border in a common sense manner and fixing our broken immigration system in a bipartisan and comprehensive way.
But what about those members, though, who voted that way? The idea that there was criticism that Democrats didn't take immigration seriously. Was there a regret, and that's why some of those votes changed?
It's my understanding that there were approximately 8 to 10 additional Democratic votes this year as compared to last year. There are 30 new members of the House Democratic Caucus.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. I know over the summer you met and had a private conversation with President Biden in the run-up to his decision to exit the 2024 race. In a new interview in USA Today, he says that he believes that he could have beaten President Trump based on the polling. You saw the polling as well. Is the president right?
We're looking forward, not backward.
But was he right? Could he have beat the former president?
Same answer.
Thank you, Jeffries and Hakeem here. Trump said yesterday that he's going to pardon those involved in January 6th in the first hour of his term. What is your response?
Pardoning a violent mob that attacked the Capitol as part of a concerted effort to halt the peaceful transfer of power, seriously injured more than 140 heroic police officers, threatened to hang Mike Pence, assassinate the Speaker of the House, and hunt down members of Congress is the height of irresponsibility.
Thank you, sir. Yesterday, Speaker Johnson said that they want to put the debt ceiling in a budget reconciliation package specifically so they can avoid having to negotiate with Democrats. I wonder what you think of that, but I also wonder if there are any bills that Democrats may not be able to support because of that.
The Republican Party wants to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, veterans benefits, and nutritional assistance from the children and families in this country. House Democrats will not support those reckless cuts because our focus should be on lowering the high cost of living for everyday Americans and working class folks all across this land, and not facilitating the GOP tax scam part 2, which is designed simply to enact massive tax breaks for billionaires and wealthy corporations and not help those Americans who are really in need.
Leader Jeffries, thank you. You mentioned that House Democrats stand ready to help those in California in need. I'm curious, what could that assistance look like, and how quickly do you think that that could become a reality?
We will evaluate requests that are made from the governor of California, as well as likely from the current administration, and we're prepared to act quickly and stay in Washington as long as necessary in order to get that emergency relief out to the families who are in harm's way in California.
Congress passed a bill that would create a plaque to honor officers who were injured and responded on January 6th. That plaque still has not been hung. Can you give an update why that hasn't happened?
That's a question you have to direct to the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Have you pressed him on it?
I believe we've sent him correspondence on that.
Jeffries, thank you. What kind of dialogue have you had with the incoming administration, the incoming president, especially given that he'll be on the Hill later today?
It's not my expectation to have any conversation at any point today, but we are looking forward to the dialogue to come in the next few weeks and thereafter to find the common ground necessary in order to get things done for the American people. House Democrats believe that we are not sent to Washington to invade Greenland, rename the Gulf of Mexico, or seize the Panama Canal by force. We were sent to Washington to lower the high cost of living in the United States of America. America is too expensive for working class families and for middle class folks all across the country. That should be our mission, and that's what we're going to focus on over the next few years.
Just to follow up on that, Leader Schumer just said he'll work with Trump to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Where do you stand on that?
I think that we've got to focus on the issues that matter to the American people. Housing costs are too high. Grocery costs are too high. Insurance costs are too high. Utility costs are too high. And childcare costs are too high. We have to build an affordable economy for hardworking American taxpayers. That's what we're going to focus on, and that's what we look forward to getting done for the people.
Thank you, sir. On the Lake and Riley Act, how strongly did you encourage members of your House conference to vote against it? And more broadly, what have your conversations been like on that act with your fellow House Democrats?
There was no whip notice that was sent on that particular piece of legislation.
Now, Senator Fetterman did compare Trump's talk about Greenland to the Louisiana Purchase. Do you have a stance on the possibility of the United States purchasing one of these territories if the deal is right?
Our focus is on lowering costs for hardworking American taxpayers. What about the November presidential election had anything to do with invading Greenland or seizing it by force? I'm confused by the obsession around these comments. What does it have to do with making sure that hardworking American taxpayers can live the American dream? The thing that's clear to me is that everyday Americans across the country are fed up. They are understandably concerned, frustrated, or even angry about their decline in quality of life, which has happened for decades. For far too long, the size of the middle class in this country has gone down, but the cost of living has gone up. That's a problem. The problem is not Greenland. The problem is not the Gulf of Mexico and the need to rename it. And the problem is not the Panama Canal. It's making sure that the American dream is brought to life for everyone in this nation.
Two things. One, congestion pricing has now been rolled out. How do you think it's going? Do you think it's on course? And two, Trump's border czar is apparently not ruling out blocking New Yorkers from returning to Canada over the state's green light law. What do you think of that?
I don't make much of those comments. I have no idea the context that they were made. I can clearly say that there's nothing about the November election results that suggests that any of this foolishness should be part of what we tackle here in Washington, D.C. on behalf of hardworking American families. With respect to congestion pricing, I haven't had an opportunity to fully evaluate its implementation. It's just been a few days. But when I return home, I look forward to having conversations with people in the community to discuss their feelings on how things have gone to date.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. This weekend, President-elect Trump will be hosting groups of Republicans at Mar-a-Lago to discuss reconciliation. One of those groups are going to be SALT Republicans discussing how to lift the SALT deduction and a potential reconciliation package. A, what are your thoughts about those meetings? And B, do you think that those discussions should be bipartisan since they affect members who represent constituents of all different parties?
The thing that's interesting about the whole state and local tax deduction issue is that the Republicans burned the House down and now want to pretend that they're firefighters. Are you kidding me? The state and local tax deduction was obliterated as part of the GOP tax scam in 2017. Why was it done? Because the Republicans and the far-right extremists wanted to jam massive tax breaks down the throats of the American people. And so they passed a bill where 83% of the benefits are projected to go to 1%. That's the wealthiest in this country. That's the GOP tax scam, part one. And as a part of that effort, Republicans, on a strictly partisan vote, destroyed the state and local tax deduction. And now some of my colleagues want to race down to Mar-a-Lago to bend the knee and pretend like they are the firefighters. I mean, it's a laughable thing. House Democrats will work with any serious-minded individuals to fully restore the state and local tax deduction in order to help working families and the middle class who were hurt by the GOP tax scam and the destruction of the state and local tax deduction.
Speaker Johnson said that he's expecting to bring on the floor a bill with sanctions against ICC. Prior to that, ICC released an arrest warrant against Vladimir Putin because of his abduction of Ukrainian children. Do you think sanctions against ICC may undermine efforts to bring to justice Russian government? And do you agree with this bill?
I voted against the bill in the last Congress, and I'll evaluate how I will vote against or for the bill in the next few days.
Where do you specifically see places for bipartisan cooperation on immigration? Is the border deal from last Congress the floor?
The border deal is a starting place for a serious bipartisan discussion, and we are willing to have that conversation because we believe as Democrats that we need a safe, a strong, and secure border, and we also need to fix our broken immigration system in a bipartisan and comprehensive manner. Thanks. Everyone good? Okay.
So yesterday at his press conference, Speaker Johnson said that the Democrats were still going through an identity crisis. What's your response to that? And any updates on those like listening sessions or the kind of reevaluation of this election?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that means, but it's going to be interesting to see how the Republicans, with their overwhelming majority in the House and the Senate and the overwhelming electoral mandate that they have, can get things done to lower costs for the American people. That's the situation that is in front of us, and I look forward to the proposals that are put forth by my extreme MAGA Republican colleagues to actually keep their word. Don't break your promises. Keep your word. You promised to lower the cost of eggs and milk. You promised to lower grocery costs. You promised to bring down housing costs. You promised to lower insurance costs, improve the quality of life for the American people. Why are you talking about an identity crisis? The Republican conference is filled with marauding bands of individuals who can't stand each other. And Democrats, as far as I can tell, are unified in our determination to make life better for the American people. Thank you, everyone.